Hey there, guys and girls, it's Mr. ThunderGod here with some actual Thunder code. So, today we'll be looking into the general syntax of Python, and luckily, we'll be actually coding something. We'll look at some of the basic commands that you'll be familiar with soon enough. So, without further ado, let's just dive right in. So, yeah, first of all, I'd like to introduce you to the concept of interactive mode and script mode. Just go to Windows, start and open the program file called IDLE, IDLE. It stands for Interactive Development and Learning Environment. So that is the Python interpreter as we spoke about in the last video. So let's go right in. The window that you can see right now is called the interactive mode window, and this is the idle window. We can actually code here. I've shown you a few examples in the last video. I'll just show you one more. This is the command to actually print something onto the screen. I'm just going to type hello world, and it's going to say hello world. So this is what the interactive mode is. There is another mode which is found under this. Look into file, new file, or just press Ctrl N and you will be given a new window. As you can see, there are no command prompt as we can see here. So if I go and type print hello world as I did last time, as you can see, it's the exact code, and when I press enter, nothing happens. That's because in script mode, we can write all the code that is necessary and run it at the end. As I said, interactivity is one of the biggest features of Python's interactive shell. We can test out single lines of code here and then implement it inside our script. Now that that's out of the way, I like to introduce you to a small concept called a variable. Those who are familiar with variables will understand what it is right away, but if you don't worry. I'll provide you with real-world examples to compare with and understand what a variable is. A variable basically is a box. Let's consider a variable as a box. You can store things inside this box, and also you can name the box. So consider a box which I decided to name A. So that box is the variable, and I'm going to put a number inside that variable. Let's say A is equal to 10. Okay, that means the box called A has 10 inside it. So the value of A is equal to 10. Here A is the variable and 10 is the value of the variable. We can assign sentences and words inside boxes too. Let's say we have another box, B is equal to hello. If I just type in B, it will say hello back. If I type in just A, it will say the number. So anytime I reference B, it will say hello. And anytime I reference or say A, it will see it as 10. Okay. Now, as I said before, we could name these boxes, and the name given to these boxes, or to be correct, the name given to variables is called an identifier. As the name suggests, identifier is a name used to identify variables, functions, modules, or objects. We'll go on to the other things that I mentioned later on, but just understand this. So let's take the case of you as an example. You have a name. You are distinguished from other people or differentiated from other people with your name apart from your looks. So you sitting next to another person, you both might not have the same name. You'll be distinguished by your name, and that is your identifier. So whatever thing that we need on Python, that is, we need to introduce a number, a value, or a sentence into Python, we'll need to reserve memory space. How a computer works is there is something called memory, which actually is the storage space for all the things that we put into the computer. So this storage space needs to be allocated or provided so that we can enter something. So if I say something like 10 and there is a variable A, that means the computer will make a small little space in its memory called A, and it will let us put anything inside it, and I decided to put in the number 10. and then we tell the computer to produce or to allocate a space called B to store the word hello. Moving on, when we name identifiers, we need to make sure of a few things. Identifiers can be anything. I'm going to make a new identifier called number is equal to 2900, 2005, something, 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 something. So if I type in number, it will say that number. Okay, what if I say number? If it's up to us, we'll understand that both of these things are same. But the computer doesn't know that. The computer thinks capital letters and small letters, or uppercase letters and lowercase letters, are different. So if I say something like A is equal to 10 and say A is equal to 2000, okay, now I'm going to type in A, it will say 10. If I type in capital A, it's going to say 2000. So capital A and small a are not the same. So be careful when you name different identifiers, when you produce identifiers. Then you can't start an identifier with a number. I'm pretty sure there aren't many people around who have the first name of 3600 Smith. I'm pretty sure there might be a few exceptions, but still, I'm pretty sure no one is called by numbers. So that's the second rule. The second rule is that we can't use numbers to start identifiers. Now, next is reserved words. Just this isn't too important. Just know that there are a few words like print, then input. Let's see if I can type right. Input, then class, def, return, break, and a lot of other words which you can't actually use as an identifier, because these are all commands which are already fed into that. You can understand that because they changed color. When you define something like number, it didn't change color. This is the ideal shell, and that's one of the uses of the ideal shell. Now, moving on. Next one, lines and indentation. As you can see, if you are coming from C++ or any other programming language which uses a compiler of sorts, you can understand that you know that each little space and each little line matter in some cases. But in the case of Python, white spaces downside, that's blank lines don't matter at all. But what matters is indentation. So if I say something like A, if I'm just going to type hello, it will say hello. Now I'm going to type again. Okay, that threw an error. That's because I put in too many spaces. I put in spaces before hello, and Python doesn't like that. So keep an eye out for that. If it says syntax error, unexpected indent, indent means tab or spaces in front of words. Okay, so that's out of the way. Let's get started with actually programming something. So first of all, I like to teach you the first command that you have seen before. It's called print. This is the syntax for print. Print, parenthesis or simple brackets, and type in whatever you want inside. Let me just give you an overview about the things that you can type inside print. There are mainly two types of things you can print. No, three types. You can print in names of variables. So you could say print A. It knows what A is. It will print the value of A, but it won't print the letter A. If you want to print the letter A, you will need to say print within quotes A. That's because the computer thinks that with quotes it is a string, or it is a sentence, or it is a word, and it needs to be shown as is. But if there is no quotes, it will identify that as a variable, and it won't type in that variable as is. It will display the value of that variable. Okay, that is the print command. So the syntax is print this, and this is the example. Print hello world within quotes. So it will output only the green color part, that is hello world without the quotes. Now sum is equal to 10. I already declared that sum is equal to 10. I gave the variable sum a value of 10 and I'm going to print sum. What would be the result? It will be 10. I'll show you. I'll give you I'll actually do that. I'm going to say sum is equal to 10. Now I'm going to say print sum 10. So the output is 10. This is how the print command works. Now, moving on. There's something else that you need to know. There is something called a comment. As you know, in Facebook, you usually use comments to appreciate pictures, whatnot. Almost the same thing is applied in Python. But here, it is actually hints or instructions or helping texts to help out any person who is reading the script. I'll show you an example script. This is an example script. Don't look at the red portion, the red colored writings. Just look at the other portions. So if you don't know what the script is, if you don't know what the script is about, it will take you some time to understand what each part is for. So if I just read print the random.randrange 1 n plus 1, it will be something like, okay, random.randrange, you'll have to think about it. But here I've added comments to each line. So while check is equal to y is the loop, and print random.randrange finds a random number. Then this check input checks to roll again. This is a code to get the output of throwing a dice. So you can enter the number of sides the dice has, and it'll give out a random number between 1 and that number. We'll actually look into this code later on when we study about the random module. Now, so this comments here, as you can see, are all started off by a pound symbol, or in social media terms, hashtag. So hashtag, then type anything and the computer will read over it. So as you know, import is a keyword. It's used here. You can't use it just as import the module. So if I remove this and decide to run it, it will say some error, invalid syntax, import the module is not a module. So it will throw an error. So if I give it as hashtag import the module, every single word of that line after hashtag will be neglected by the computer. Same goes here. Same goes here, here, here. Okay. Now, if I run this, it asks me how many sides the dice has. It gives me the output. If I want to roll again, I can give y. It will give me another number. I can roll again, roll again. I got 5, 5, 5, and 6. Now, I'm going to roll. I'm going to say no, and it ends. So it works. So that's what comments are used for. It's pretty useful. I suggest you guys use it. And in the projects to come, I will actually include as many comments as possible in the code. I'll be sharing my code on my GitHub. You will be able to download the code, edit the code, and you'll be able to see the comments beside each line explaining what that line is used for. I hope that will be helpful for you. Moving on. The next thing that we will need to learn about is called getting user input. Basically, what that means is you can run comments, you can run code and all. Here, in this case, I've written input, how many sides does this dice have? So if I run it, it'll ask me how many sides does the dice have, and I will have to enter a number. So this is called getting user input. Okay, we are giving a value to the computer. So we'll need to ask that question. In order to ask that question, we'll need a special command, and that command is given here. Input within bracket, what is the question? I'll show you the syntax. So now, before I go on, let me just tell you, if I tell you something like you're going to a person and you're asking him his age. What is your age? So he tells you 23. So you're going to save that 23 inside your head in a variable called that person's age. I need you to focus on that concept and look at the syntax. This is a variable. It can be anything. A variable is equal to input, which is the command, and within brackets the question that you want to ask. Okay, so we'll see an example. Age is the variable, is equal to input within quotes, enter your age. So this will basically ask you for your age, and the prompt will actually wait for you to enter the age, and it will save the age within age. So it will say, if you run just age afterwards, age's value will be 23 or 22 or 27, depending upon what is inputted. Okay, now I know that we've gone through a few things in this video. I'm going to end the video here. I suggest, if you don't understand, please go over the video once more, pause at the syntax, just note down the syntax. If you have any doubts, please ask it in the comment section. I'll be very happy to help you out. And in the next video, we'll go over more complex, a little bit more interesting topics called variables and data types. Until then, I'll see you guys. Goodbye.